I want to talk about the oligarchs, those billionaires that are surrounding the president, the 47th president of the United States. And some of his picks as well seem to be completely random. Many of them come from, I don't know if you've heard of Project 2025, but many of the people he's put in place are authors of that project or are involved in putting that project together, and they are now in really quite serious government positions. And I want to talk to you about what is going on. But look, I also want you to hear this, right, from America itself, and to hear the worry and the concern that there is at the moment at Elon Musk, who is unelected, working in a department that doesn't officially exist, called DOGE, or as I'm going to call it, DOGE, and having the power to avail himself of people's private information in the United States. For me, it's extraordinary. Have a listen. This is Chuck Schumer.
Before our very eyes, an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. Last Friday, DOGE forcefully gained access to the Treasury Department's payment systems and to the most sensitive information of virtually every U.S. citizen. Donald Trump basically handed DOGE the Social Security data of virtually every American citizen. Donald Trump gave DOGE access to America's personal tax refund data. He gave DOGE access to people's Medicare and Medicaid benefits, disability payment data, veteran benefit data. Worst of all, we don't know what DOGE intends to do with this information. If you want to know how an unelected shadow government operates, look no further than DOGE. DOGE staffers, whomever they are, now have unprecedented access to the most sensitive payment data in the entire federal government, with no transparency, with no guardrails, and guess what? The one independent watchdog who could have provided oversight was fired by Donald Trump over a week ago. The Treasury Secretary must revoke DOGE's access to the Treasury payment system at once. If not, Congress must act immediately. That is why Leader Jeffries and I are working together on legislation, which we will introduce, to stop unlawful meddling in the Treasury Department's payment systems. We must protect people's Social Security payments, their Medicare payments, tax refunds from any possible tampering by DOGE or any other unauthorized entities. Let's be very clear. DOGE is not a real government agency.
There you go. As I said, it is not a real government agency. It does not have the support of Congress. It has not been formed by Congress. It has not had the powers given to it. DOGE is just Elon Musk. So is that something to fear? Or, because he's such a brilliant businessman, is this something to be applauded? Let's talk to Seamus Bruner now, Director of Research at the Government Accountability Institute and author of one of my favourite books. I've said this to you before. I love it and hate it in equal measure because I throw it across the room and the cat gets hit sometimes. Control Oligarchs, Exposing the Billionaire Class, Their Secret Deals and the Globalist Plot to Dominate Your Life. Seamus, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me again. Look, reading Control Oligarchs, it seems a little out of date now. I mean, even you, right, with all of your knowledge, experience, expertise and research, are you shocked by what we're seeing?
Yeah, Petri, it's great to be with you. I am shocked, frankly. I spilled a lot of ink on Elon Musk in this book. There are great reasons to worry about Elon Musk's influence over the Trump administration. I mean, the transhumanism section in the book talking about the Neuralink. I mean, anybody who wants to put a chip in my brain is someone I'm wary of. And of course, there's all kinds of other reasons. The number of government contracts. I mean, most of Elon Musk's businesses are fully or at least partially dependent on government contracts. And so, this is the kind of crony relationships that we at the Government Accountability Institute like to expose. There's other reasons, too. Elon Musk has a large amount of business dealings with China. His business in China is totally beholden to favor with the Chinese Communist Party. And yet, with all of that said, and those are, I mean, we could spend hours talking about each of those issues. I will say that the DOGE initiative, the Department of Government Efficiency, and you're right, it is not an official department of the government. It has not been authorized by Congress. I do find at least part of the impetus for DOGE to be to have merit. There's a saying in the United States: a government big enough to give you everything you have is large enough to take everything you want. So it's misattributed to Thomas Jefferson, but our government has grown so out of control. There's so much waste and fraud and abuse in our government. We saw it with the COVID spending. I mean, trillions of dollars of fraud happening all the time. You know, this U.S. Agency for International Development, of course, it certainly does some good things, but we've seen so much waste and fraud and abuse with that particular agency, and a lot of regime change and these color revolutions in funding other control oligarch businesses. They fund Rockefeller initiatives and they fund George Soros initiatives. So I do applaud some of the work of USAID. And when Chuck Schumer talks about they have all of this sensitive information, that's what we're talking about with a government big enough to give you everything you want. It's like the government has all of that. Do you know how many bureaucrats have access to that? Tons and tons of bureaucrats. So if DOGE does something wrong, if they improperly access people's personnel data and they leak it and they do something wrong with that, or he mentioned tax return information, then I will condemn that, and a full investigation, I'm sure, will be had. I'm sure many senators are gearing up to investigate now. But if DOGE is able to cut some of this waste and fraud and abuse, I can't see how that's a bad thing.
I don't have a problem. We've got waste here. We had a lot of fraud during COVID as well. I think what troubles me is the lack of oversight, that you've got people who are 19 to 24 years old as members of DOGE who are given access to stuff that it is at a securer level than they can't even probably spell it yet, and they're getting in there, and you're hoping, it's just like fingers crossed that they don't do anything bad. And the other thing that is concerning, surely from a security point of view, is how many firewalls have they knocked down? How many access points are now available to Russia, China, with all of this information? There's no oversight, and there's no oversight because Donald Trump has sacked anybody who could oversee this. And why hasn't it gone to a proper department if there's nothing to hide?
Yeah, those are legitimate concerns. I would say that the OPM, this is what he's talking about when he talks about the Treasury, the Office of Personnel Management that manages all of the federal employees in our country. China's been in that system for years. I mean, they hacked it years and years ago, and they've been repeatedly, it seems like every other year, there's another story about how our OPM system was hacked by China, and all of the personnel records are in China's hands. I'm obviously not saying that's a good thing, but at the same time, it has been an abject failure. The federal government in our country has been a failure for a very long time, wasting tremendous amounts of money. And so, again, you can read control oligarchs, and I do not take a kind tone toward Elon Musk, and I have all kinds of reasons to be wary of him. But I'll give you a different example. The takeover of Twitter, when he did that, he fired a third or even half of the staff. and the company's never been run better. The user engagement is up, whether or not you think that that's a good thing. I mean, by the metrics of a social media company, it's never been more profitable, more lean and efficient. So those are some of the things that I sort of support.
But it depends on what you see as success, right, with
Yes.
Twitter. I mean, or with X or Twitter. Look, with Musk, what's in it for him? He's not doing this for nothing, right? None of them are. Bezos, Zuckerberg, they're not doing it for nothing.
No, of course not. No, this is all about AI. And so that is where I will say I have strong concerns about what DOGE is up to is, on the one hand, and I've seen it firsthand, AI has tremendous power, tremendous capability to do all kinds of wonderful things, and it also has the power to do terrible and horrifying things. And so insofar as good things are happening, then I would have to applaud those. But yeah, what's in it for them is taking over the entire federal government using an artificial intelligence system. That is what these experts who they've hired, I mean, they're 19 and 20-year-old. I mean, it's a lot of people say, oh, they're too young, but those are some of the things that these kids, I would say, have done, the 18, 19-year-old kids, I mean, translating a 2,000-year-old scroll that no one else could translate from Pompeii, that's just remarkable. And so he built a system that was able to translate a buried in lava scroll. Now, so that's a tremendous capability of AI. He went square by square on this scroll and had the computer system translate and figure out characters and eventually entire words and translate the Greek. That's a very cool thing. When you turn that AI capability loose on the government, it can do a number of things. If it finds waste, fraud, and abuse, that's a very good thing. But if it becomes that our government is wholly dependent on XAI and Elon Musk companies, or Sam Altman and OpenAI with this new Stargate initiative, or Larry Ellison with Oracle, it really could go either way. I don't think we should throw caution to the wind. I mean, this is why so many people have their eyes so closely on it. And we are watching, and we are going to report any bad things that happen. Thus far, I've just seen the waste, fraud, and abuse. In the longer term, I am concerned about having private companies, artificial intelligence running our government. If it's for the best, then I guess that's good. It's a little... it's alarming. I'm with you. I'm torn is really what it is. I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. I think it's right to be cautious and to be monitoring it.
If it's all so innocent and also good and also positive, why would you get rid of people whose job it is to oversee what government is doing? Why would you do that?
If you're talking about the inspector generals at our agencies, I mean, I've been actually going through the inspector general reports from the Energy Department and from the Defense Department. I don't know if you know this, Petri, but our Defense Department has never passed an audit, not in decades. I mean, we lose trillions of dollars. It is the Inspector General's office who is responsible for providing oversight. So I would say that the previous inspector generals, who were all fired, they should have been fired. They were not providing proper oversight before. Now, it remains to be seen. I mean, if they're replaced with good people who actually start investigating the agencies and finding out where all of this fraud and abuse is, hopefully our Pentagon can pass an audit for once. That would be good. If we continue on the same path we've been on for a very long time of failing audits, and I was reading these inspector general reports from the Biden administration, they are so weak, and the oversight is lacking. I mean, they found, here and there some issues where the secretary was misusing the charge card in the reimbursement system. When you dig deeper, you find that they are reimbursing nightclub visits and visits to bars and other sorts of places. When you really dig in, it's like, what is this all about? The inspector general reports were so tame, and they were not actually, there was no penalties. It was just kind of making recommendations. Maybe they shouldn't do that anymore. But we need proper oversight, and we need accountability, and we need people to face justice if they've been abusing their office. So I'm not, saying it's all good. It's a little soon to tell.
Just very briefly, because I'm running out of time, which I knew I would with you. What do you make of his picks? Pete Hegseth, RFK has just been approved by one vote. What do you make? And Gabbard has been approved. What do you make of these?
Yeah, well, Kash Patel and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard were obviously the hardest ones to get through. I'm a little surprised they got through. But I'm generally in favor of people that the establishment is very much against. Not because I'm worried about all kinds of things that either RFK or Tulsi or Kash Patel could do. But at the same time, it's time to shake the establishment up a little bit. That's what the American people voted for when they voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, and they gave him a mandate via Senate control and House control. So the American people decided that they're kind of sick of business as usual. They want people in there. I mean, I don't think most Republicans who voted for Donald Trump would vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for president, but they trust that Donald Trump has made the right pick. America has never been as unhealthy as it is right now. A lot of that is lifestyle. I think people do need to own up to that portion of it. But we, in America, I mean, there's all kinds of ingredients and chemicals in our food that they don't allow folks in Europe to eat.
No, that's why there's a trade deficit, because we won't buy it.
Yeah, exactly. And so if insofar as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants to find out what's in the food, if there is any poison in the food, this red 40 they just found that is giving people cancer, and there's all kinds of other crap in our food. So if we're going to find out and get that out and revoke FDA approvals for poisons in our food, I'm all for that. And the same thing with the drug companies. The big pharma industry in America is totally run amok, and it's it's harming people. We did a study. They've paid $122 billion, $122 billion in fines from the big pharmaceutical companies in our country for everything from killing people to bribing regulatory officials to false advertising. Our media companies are totally bought by pharma advertising dollars. 75% of all the ads on our TVs are pharmaceutical ads. And so if Robert F. Kennedy wants to shine a light on that or maybe do something about it, I think Americans support that. He's a big reason why Donald Trump got elected.
How long do you give him? One word. How long? Or two words?
RFK Jr.?
Yeah, how long do you, how long do you sit back and say, this could be a good thing, we'll wait and see? How long do you wait and see?
Well, we're working on a report right now. We're not going to wait and see. We've got a big report coming out on all the Trump-connected lobbyists. A lot of people who helped with his campaign are now going into the lobbying field and lobbying for interests like TikTok and pharmaceutical companies and foreign governments. And so we're not waiting at all. We're going to put out a report very soon. We're just putting the finishing touches on it now.
I'm really look forward to reading that myself. Thank you. As ever, Seamus Bruner, Director of Research at the Government Accountability Institute and author of Control Oligarchs, Exposing the Billionaire Class. It is a really good book. Read it.